So the metaverse is, you know, when you've got that headset on, so where you had a 2D platform and you're scrolling down on light and stuff, now you're in a bar in the metaverse with them. That will be the new thing.
Do you know what's going to happen, right? Do you know what's going to happen? All these people are going to be headsets on in the living room, thinking they're in like fucking garlands, and some little tea leaf's just going to be in your living room, lifting your telly in front of you, and you haven't got a clue. It's going to happen. Yeah. Back doors swung open, like your cooker's on the back of a BMX halfway down Lodge Lane or something. You haven't got a clue. You're like that in the bar. Taking off, no telly or nothing.
Right, okay, so episode 6 of the Together We Are Strong podcast with me, Kevin Morland, and
JP Toddy.
JP
Toddy, lad.
So we haven't been on for a while, have we? We had a little bit of, what's that, a month? Yeah, it's been a month, so apologies for that. It's Gary fucked everything up.
My fault. I went into hide and I was getting chased by the chippy owner because I owed him 6.
So anyway, it was, you know, and then obviously with us, we were shocked, weren't we? Toddy's head was gone with the zip wire, weren't it? So we had a brilliant day in Wales, didn't we? Saturday gone.
Absolutely amazing.
But obviously your first like bit of like involvement with an hour for others at the minute was getting that together, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it proved to be like a bit. It was amazing, mate. It was 30 of us, wasn't he? Turned up in Wales.
30 in the end, yeah. We had an earlier group, didn't we, and then a later group, so yeah, it was boss.
And you done it. I couldn't do it this year because of health issues.
Yeah,
You loved it.
I was absolutely flapping. Well, do you know what, Kev? Because the stress of organising it, I didn't give it that much of a thought. It was in the back of my mind, you know what I mean? I was flapping a little bit, but when I got there and then I got that first booking in, I was like, I had a bit of time then to think about it, and then when you look at that bigger one to the small one, I was like,
high, isn't it?
Oh my God, this is heavy, but like, I thought the little one doesn't look too bad, does it? Do you know what I mean?
No.
The first one to take you over to the bus, and I looked at that big one, mate, and I thought, and then even in the truck going up, my arse was gone, but do you know what, when I got up there, mate, I felt calm. It was weird, you know.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, and then I just done it, just went with it, mate, and then it's like 55 seconds, innit? And as soon as that was done, I was like, that's the best thing I ever.
You want to do it again?
Honest to God, Kev, yeah. It's incredible, yeah.
Well, I done it 3 years ago. Jill booked me on without me even knowing. When I got there, that high one in the mountains, I thought that was for the advanced group.
Did you?
I thought the learners were doing like the little one.
Have you ever seen it, Gary? Have you seen how big it is?
I've seen it, yeah. Because we were telling Kev before. Me went on a stag with my brother, and the group of lads were stayed in touch, and we keep talking about like activities that we can do together, and they were looking at that one, and I was like, yeah, that's a bit of me. That's fucking massive, though, innit? Scary, innit?
You see it when you drive in, don't you?
Yeah.
First, and I thought, what's that there?
Your ass falls out, doesn't it?
Mate, yeah.
But it's the best feeling ever, isn't it?
It's
It's like, I remember doing it, and it was like flying. It was
Sorry, mate.
it was unbelievable. But yeah, anyway, a good 30 of us went there, so thank you everyone
Thank you very much, everyone.
who's on the zip wire. It was brilliant to see so many people.
As well, haven't we, for us, Kev?
Yeah, they have. We'll find out the total for that once all the GoFundMe's are in, and I know some people done sponsorship forms, so once we get the final figure, we'll get that out.
Definitely, yeah.
So we've had a busy month, haven't we, really? We had the kids groups as well, the half-term stuff. We went to Movama with 40 of the families and loads of kids and that, which was brilliant again. Two of the young brothers, 3 and 5, one of the little lads who's 7, Caden, he helped the 2 brothers up to the top of Movama. Brilliant. Like, he worked with them all the way. There was loads of boss things happened on that day. One of the dads, Emmanuel, from Nigeria. He's been in Liverpool I think they've been in Liverpool for about 18 months now. His wife's doing a qualification in Liverpool University. He's an architect in Nigeria, but he's come over to back his wife up, like, loveliest couple you could ever meet. Now, he hasn't really seen much. He came up Movammer, and as we're at the side of Movammer, you know, you can see out over I think it's Rutan and all that.
Yeah.
He turned round and he said, Kevin, he said, I've never ever seen a view like that, only on a painting. He said, and I'm standing here looking at this view now. He said, thank you. It's just things that me and you take for granted, things that we take for granted. You know, even some of the families who came up had never done nothing like that before. And when they were at the top, the sense of achievement was just unbelievable. Yeah. And it's a massive thing for a lot of people. And it's a boss little day for everyone to get together and to meet each other and you know, to bond and that.
Yeah, it's massive, innit?
And then we done a footy. Anthony Godfrey from 7 Elite, he's going to come on one of the podcasts, Anthony, as our guest. He's on football coaching, which went really well for the kids as well.
He does it all the time, Anthony, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's helped us. 7 Elite Academy developed us from day one. Basically, he'll come along and do like football sessions for the kids. So many people in the city who give the time up, you know, give the skills. At the minute, it's been the health and well-being stuff's absolutely flying. So we got like Pure Gym. They run a class every week for our families where I think it's Chris, the trainer there, gives his time up to deliver classes free. We've got Katie Sunshine. She does mindfulness. Yeah, she does mindfulness and yoga classes. You got Hayley Tate, who's a chef. She gives her time running family cookery classes, all plant-based stuff and that. You got Steve Martin, he's a chef. He gives his time as well. God, you know, when I start mentioning names, you always start forgetting loads.
No, you don't want to like not name someone, do you? You're terrified, aren't you, in case you miss someone out.
Yeah.
How boss is that, eh?
But there's loads of boss stuff happening, loads of people coming together. We've had a good little meeting with one of the head teachers from All Saints School in Anfield. We've had a little meeting with them and some other organisations in the city talking about how we can bring unity more into what we're all doing. You know, how can the schools and organisations work together instead of all doing our own thing across the city, which so many people are doing amazing things. It's about what can we do as a collective? How can we bring all of what we're doing it together and make it work? You know, so it's, you know, we're not just doing this. You know, there'll be organisations somewhere that can do stuff better than we can do, and we can do certain things better than other places can do. So it's about all of us just, you know, working to our strengths to help the community.
You say you've been having meetings over that, have you, Ken?
I've had a couple of meetings, yeah. So obviously with the gala coming up, all hands have been on deck for the gala. But once that's out the way, we're going to be looking at doing some little events and stuff like that, and you know, growing the people who are meeting up as well, like to build unity.
Yeah. There's out there, isn't there, Kev?
There's loads, isn't there? And even in C4 alone, isn't there? Where there's loads of boss little groups there, isn't there?
The city's full of it, isn't it?
It is.
There's no reason why we can't all come together. Even we were speaking to Mark Carl, weren't we? We've had little messages with him as well, haven't we? And he's up for helping, isn't he? And Mark together, and we'll just smash the city, innit?
Yeah, Mark's doing amazing stuff, isn't he? Down on the beach and that. He's
back off now again, isn't he?
Yeah, it's flying, and then in the woods they have little get-togethers and things like that. So it's all looking good.
He messaged me the other day, I don't know if I mentioned it to you.
Who, Mark?
Yeah.
Did he?
So he messaged me the other day and was like, listen, got a festival coming up in June. I want to put a comedy section on. Would you do it for us? I was like, sound. He was like, let me know. He said, I want to fill like an hour. If you want to get multiple acts on, we'll do it. And all that. I was like, yes, sound. That was all like the information he gave me. So I was like, got a couple of lads together, give the names forward, and I was like, yeah, we're all game. He went, sound. It's a family festival. I just went, my material's not for kids, lad. I went, listen, if it is family orientated, I said, I can book clean comics. I went, I'll reach out to them and stuff. And he went, yeah, I know, like that.
Mr. Sumble.
Upsetting kids everywhere. And he went, I'll go back to the organisers who I'm running it with and see if we can do like an adult tent for the comedy. He went, I'll get back to you. So I'm just waiting to find out whether I'm going to be in the adult tent or I need to get clean people. Every second word, I'm like, fucking this, fucking that. I just slip over front of the kids and everything.
For it, mate, I need to stop swearing. But that's funny enough, mate, what you said there. He's donated us 2 tickets to that, guys.
Has he, yeah?
Is that
That's that, yeah.
Brilliant.
So it's like he's got all sorts on, and he like, what is it? I had a little look at the list that he had the other day. He's got everything on, mate.
There's loads of good stuff,
and it's 2 tickets to raffle off as well.
And you know what it is? It's. I mean, Mark's trying to bring light into the city. A lot of people aren't they? And it's, you know, it's hard, isn't it? Because, you know, you're sort of like, you're trying to create new ways of being type thing, you know what I mean? No one had thought of meditating on the beach like 10-15 years ago, would they? And it's just amazing to see. I think I've said it in virtually every episode. There's something coming from the city of Liverpool, isn't it?
But it's been underneath the surface for years, hasn't it, bubbling away? And
it has. It's mad to me because I feel like there's this thing happening that's not being televised. It's not being spoken about. You're not gonna see it on the news. But without doubt, there's something's been happening the last 2 or 3 years.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
As much as like the world's been up the wall the last 2 or 3 years, alongside it has been something magical starting, isn't it? It's like definitely I don't know if you want to call it a shift or an awakening or whatever it is, but so many people are sort of speaking deeper, are talking, you know, trying to connect more with the community, trying to do good stuff. And I firmly believe that there's a new world that's building, it's coming out of, like, 100%. I don't know if you want to say it's coming out of the ashes, but this is the start of something. It's been, like I say, I think 2012, 13, I started to think all this type of stuff, do you know what I mean? You could see little pockets of it, but it seems to be like a bit of a tidal wave now, doesn't it? Which is brilliant.
The fact that you can go down the beach on a Tuesday night and see about 500 people doing that, it's like, it would never have happened, would it? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
so
you were telling me, wasn't you? It was you were going down to the one that they were doing in the morning there, wasn't you? They were doing the... What was it? The like meditation and the swim.
Yeah, it was like ultimate morning wear.
That when Scano used to do the warehouse as well.
Scano used to do it with Martin Bone and Mark, so the 3 of them would do it, and you'd get there at 5:30 in the morning, mate, and you'd do like a 20-minute circuit. Scano would do a circuit, and then you'd do like a meditation, and then you'd get in the sea. But it was just like, you come, didn't you? You come to one, didn't you?
He's telling me about going, and he said, make sure though you bring a towel and that, because you'll get in the sea. I said, I'm not getting in the sea, am I? Said, on the Mersey, I'm not getting in the Mersey. Then at the end of the meditation, and was it done the circuit and the meditation?
Yeah.
Next minute, there's 500 people running towards the sea, and next minute,
it's the most...
before you realise it, you're in the middle of them all. And next minute, I'm just surrounded by fucking jellyfish. And it was like, what's happened here?
Big Mersey trout, like the Kevin and Perry scene, the big floater.
Oh, it was mad, but it was bosh, you know. It was just dead surreal.
It was weird to be there at 5 in the morning having a rave on the beach. Do you know what I mean? It was
bosh, wasn't it?
It was brilliant.
And then like
powerful though, innit?
It sets you up for the day. Honest to God, it's you always say it, don't you, about the mornings and stuff like that. It's like
fly after it, don't you?
Yeah, if you can get up in the morning and you know, do a little workout or do something, do something positive. You know, instead of seeing your alarm and turning your alarm off and then going back to sleep, you call it pain pleasure, don't you?
It's literally every decision. I read that in a Tony Robbins book years ago. Every decision we make is based on pain and pleasure. Yeah. And that goes to, like, just for argument's sake, you want to go for a run, you know what I mean, and you've been in work all day. Your brain is seeking pleasure. It doesn't like discomfort. It likes comfort and certainty. It hates uncertainty as well. So for you to want to go for a run, you can't be arsed, can you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So your brain's giving it all. You've been in work all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get on the couch and watch Netflix and eat a load of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for you, that's
I know that voice.
Yeah. Battle every day, very well. Yeah. So like we battle that every single day, don't we? You know what I mean? But short-term pleasure may give you long-term pain, because if you choose that short-term pleasure of eating the biscuits and not running and not doing this, long-term you will become unhealthy, won't you?
Yeah.
But if you just go through the short-term pain of putting your shoes on and going for a run, long-term it'll give you pleasure, because you'll become fit, you'll become strong, and it's that, in a nutshell, every decision that we make, you know what I mean?
It is. You can see it like through society, can't you? Everyone seems to try and stay in this little comfort zone, don't they? And it's the thought of going through a bit of pain, a bit of change, a bit of thinking differently maybe that keeps them back, isn't it?
You never know until you go through that, and after you've gone through it, that's where the growth is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when you come out the other side and you have clarity and you look back, what was the worst thing that ever happened to you, what you thought was, you look back and go, I made up that happened. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't be here.
No one likes change, do they? Do you know what I mean? And I can't remember what it means. This story might be fucking pointless now, but I was doing a training course in work. It was talking about project management. It was about change, and they went through something called the direct cycle, where it's like the 4 stages of change, where people will like deny, and then
I've seen that.
and then like they disrupt it,
Acceptance.
and then they accept it in the end. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you go through the 4 stages, and then the end, they're like, hell, this works.
Yeah.
But it's just the fear of change. No one likes it. So straight away, they want it to fail. They do everything in the power. So like as you say, I need to get up and go for a run. I don't really want to do that change. Can I just watch this television program? I'll have this biscuit. I'll have that. Yeah. You're refusing to make the change.
You want to stay in your comfort zone, don't you?
It
is, yeah.
Because it's unknown. It's an unknown. It's like, you know, even with what we're doing and what we always say about, like, the world can be so much better. People want to know, though. People want to know how, though. What's good. You don't know, do you? You don't know what it's going to look like. You just know when you're tapping into your best version, when you're giving back what as good as you can give back. Things will change for the better, but nobody knows what it's going to look like. But you know, you've just got to have belief, haven't you? If you're going into the unknown, if you're going through that fear, you've got to have belief, haven't you?
Well, I read a book a couple of years ago, Kevin. It's by Suzanne Jefferson. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's a brilliant book, and it's basically, I feel it and just go and do it.
Yeah.
You don't lose, you win or you learn. She basically says, and it's a brilliant book for anyone out there who's struggling with breaking out of that comfort zone, or are living in fear and you don't want like that change. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
There you go.
Books I've read.
So Suzanne, if you're watching, sponsor the podcast, please. Because we still haven't got a podcast.
Can I, before we get carried away there, can I do this shout?
Go on, of course, mate? Yeah.
So this is for me mate, Penno, his little lad, Luca. So they're doing a fundraiser on the 18th of September. I'll just read the crowdfunding thing out now. So his little lad was born, mate, with a brain tumour, and it was the 18th of September 2021. So this walk is the 1-year anniversary of the diagnosis. His conditions range from having third nerve palsy in his right eye, which has affected his vision. He also has cerebral palsy, which has created a weakness down the left-hand side of his body, left arm and leg, which means he can only walk very short distances. This has also led to problems with his speech, which may never be corrected. We are raising the funding for a vehicle to attend Lucas' regular appointments at Alderey Children's Hospital. We also need the vehicle for his wheelchair, for family outings, which would massively help Luca and get him back into like a normal family everyday routine. We would also like Luca to attend some inclusion groups who accommodate children with disabilities in sport, which would help his physical and mental well-being in the future. We are planning to walk up Snowdon on the 18th of September, which is the 1-year anniversary of Luca's diagnosis. The offer is open to anyone who'd like to join. I spoke to Penno before and he said even if you haven't sponsored us, you're more than welcome to come and support them on the day. Closer to the walk, I'll put more information on here. But Gary, could you put the link to that crowdfunding?
Yep, 100%.
And if there is anyone out there who'd like to sponsor, or just throw it, if you've got anything at all to throw into the crowdfunding page, it'd be much appreciated. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah.
Nice one, Kev.
Good luck with it all as well, everyone.
Definitely, I'm going to dive on it myself.
Sounds.
Just another little bit about that, Kev. He's got there's 5 lads and I think there's 2 girls. I know what it's like I have a van with 3 seats and there's 4 of us and me and Shannon, so there's 6 of us, so it's a nightmare getting about. So when he is taking his other little lads to footy, like 2 kids and that are getting left behind, so they need the vehicle, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'll just give them a better life. So like I say, if there's anyone out there that
let's
throw anything in it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Let's hope they smash it and get the vehicle in there. Good luck. So anyway, we were going to touch on your sort of second part, wasn't it? We done your first part the other week episode. If nobody's seen Toddy's first part, I would recommend that you watch Toddy's first part, which is episode 4. Yeah. Just so obviously this can make a bit of sense, because when we went through your first part, it brought up a lot of like the crap that you went through when you were a kid. Obviously the traumas that you went through.
For an hour, mate.
Yeah, it really hit your heart, didn't it?
When it come back round to doing number 2, well, the part 2, in all honesty, mate, I didn't feel up to it. Do you know what I mean? So it was better. Well, for me, it was better to get Susie on. Do you know? Because it brought a lot up, because that's just in your head, and I've sat on that for time. Do you know what I mean? So
you suppress a lot of them memories, don't you? And you forget about them until you start talking, and then you start scratching the surface, and you're like, "Fucking hell, I forgot about that." Yeah. And then, as you say, you go home and you're sitting in a dark, empty room of a night, and all these thoughts are just bouncing.
All come back up, mate. It was on the drive home, Gary, started feeling.
You were wiped out here after it, weren't you?
Yeah, I was wiped out, mate. And you know what? I had a bottle of a big bottle of Tiger in the fridge, and I thought when I get in, I'll nail that. But how I felt, I just thought no, because you just. let me sit with this, do you know what I mean? Everything comes to pass, just let me sit with it and let it pass through. And after an hour I was sound. Get me wrong, I had a little wobble throughout the week, but it was therapy, it was good, I needed that.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's been a gap in it in this part
Yeah.
1 too, really.
And you know, part 1 went like amazingly well, didn't it? Like, and you got loads of good feedback from it, didn't you? And hopefully it helps some people as well. I know a couple of people I spoke to had said that they could resonate so much as a kid growing up with your story. It was it definitely, you know, touched a lot of people, impacted a lot of people, and hopefully can help a lot of people. But one of the things what we never got across really was we talked about you growing up and stuff like that. I won't mention Ryan Giggs. We talked about
I haven't lived that down.
He done a knee slide on the way out of here and everything.
I've had some
did I just mention it? Sorry, mate. Gary, don't edit that out. So obviously...
He's wrote Ryan Giggs on the board 10 times.
So obviously, like, you know, for anyone who doesn't know you, like, you know, that was your story coming to sort of a few years ago when you had that moment with Poppy in the garden and stuff, and she said she could see the police and things like that, and you knew you had to change. But I don't think we had time to get, like, you sort of, you know, especially to do with the anxiety stuff. I know you touched on the panic. You used to have the panic attacks and things, and you suffered with anxiety. So wanted to delve a little bit into that. And obviously, I think throughout all of that story, it was a proper journey of like a kid going through trauma. And it gave me an understanding and everybody else an understanding of what's going on in a kid's mind. Because often, you know, we just see a kid, you know, with the behaviours and, you know, getting involved in crime or being antisocial. But often, like you always say, there's something that's driving the behaviour.
Driving it, innit? That's just my opinion. You know, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an expert at anything. I just know what I've gone through. And I know the world that I've come from, mate. And, you know, when I think back at the lads who I grew up with, who I love dearly still, you know, and we done what we done, there's a pattern. Do you know what I mean? And we all, like, kind of, like, come from, like, broken homes, or, you know, there was no positive male role models in our life and things like that. There was loss, there was addiction in other people's families, and there is that pattern, mate. So I just can only speak from where I've come from, mate. And you know, anxiety is a different ball game to maybe what them kids have gone through. They haven't necessarily had anxiety, but you know, they were seeking what are probably human basic needs in the love and belonging of a gang or something like that. So when I look back and I think about it,
Sorry,
it's all right. When I look back and I think about it, mate, that was missing in everybody else's life, do you know what I mean? So that's just the world that I've come from, Kev, as being that, like, scally, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? And I wasn't never in an affiliated gang. We didn't have a gang name because it wasn't like that when we were younger. It was just a gang of kids.
You're just a natural, it's like you said, I think, didn't you? You started to gravitate towards kids who were at the same sort of, like, issues at home and things like that.
The thing with me, Kev, is what I didn't touch on part 1 is I grew up with a gaping hole and a void in me, and it wasn't just from losing me dad. You know what I mean? Like, my relationship with me mum, and I absolutely adore me mum. She was there Saturday.
Yeah, I spoke to your ma, yeah.
You know what I mean? I adore me mum and I adore my sister, but like I said about me going behind the bedroom door, I shut myself off from my family. So I've been like a lone wolf from 12, basically. So that gap that I kind of like went behind the bedroom door, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as the years went on, to the point where it was like the relationship had just deteriorated between me and my mum, you know what I mean? So, like I say, I had that void growing up, and that, like, I wanted to have that family thing, but the way I was behaving was upsetting my mum. It's like, I've got to hold my hand up, and you know, I've caused a lot of that. So it was like our relationship deteriorated. I've gone from a mummy's boy to, like I said, the opposite in part 1. But then, because I'm lacking that, I need that. But I'll go and find that somewhere else. Yeah. So if you've got that acceptance and you've got that gang, like that gang mentality, and that's not just in a gang on the streets, you're finding that in other groups, aren't you? Maybe in a positive way. That's why, like, the walk and talks that you see now, that fellas are setting up, they fly, don't they?
Yeah.
Or the cold water community, or the going down the beach meditation, because we all want to belong.
Yeah.
I belong, and I found it early doors because I didn't have the positive male role model with the lads.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, you know, it's...
Can I jump in there quick? So, when you're talking about sort of, you know, pushing your mum away and everything and isolating yourself, have you used that experience as a child to change how you are as an adult? Like, do you, like, approach your kids differently because you don't want to push them into isolation? You know, do you tiptoe around them a bit more, or are you overcompensating because you're scared of having that relationship with your own kids? Does that ever come into play, or is it not an issue?
With my own kids, mate, I don't miss a chance to tell them that I love them. I think I say it every single day to them that I'm with them, I love them. School them when they're getting out, kiss, love you. Good night, kiss, love you. Not to say, I'm not going to sit here and like dig my own mum out, you know what I mean? It's not like that. I'm not coming at it like a victim.
But it was as you said, it was never your man, it was your decision.
Yeah, it was my decision because of the hurt that I went through, and like I say, going behind the bedroom door, I shut myself off because I think the pain of speaking about things hurt too much to me. But I haven't, you know, as a 12-year-old kid, I don't understand that harbouring these thoughts and these feelings. I don't know how detrimental they're going to be to me going forward because, like I say, I've got no experience with anything, no life experience. You don't know, do you, Kev? I don't know, but I just avoided, like I said. But the avoidance drove a wedge between me and my mum that got bigger and bigger and bigger as the years went on. And then the life that I was living, it was like, how can I explain it? I don't know. I was a criminal.
But I mean, you're sitting here now. What are you, 38?
38.
You're sitting here now. You can articulate what went on then. You can understand it.
Clarity.
You're talking about a 12 to 15, 16-year-old kid. You're not making sense the way you're making sense of it now. You're at that age, you're not making sense of it like that. You cannot express it like that. You don't know what's going on. So shouldn't the education system be talking about your thoughts, your feelings, you know, about trauma, about how to deal with trauma? Shouldn't that be happening? I know we keep going every week. I think I mention it.
It's right to touch on it, innit, Kev? You know, because we're saying the same thing, aren't we? Look, what, you know, I'm that kid, but I'm still that broken 12-year-old kid. I can take myself back there now. You know what I mean? And I know what I needed. And it does need, I don't like, I speak to Poppy and, you know, the kids aren't, you know, they've got love from me and the mum, and they haven't gone through, all right, they've gone through a breakup, but they haven't gone through like permanent loss. So they're not really like at a point where they need that. But I don't really know what goes on in the schools because they're not going for that, my kids, so they're not under anything like that. But I don't know what's there. I'm only speaking when I was in school, guys. You know what I mean?
It's a different time as well. Yeah. So I know, like, the power of the internet can have a negative effect on kids' mental state and stuff because, you know, it's bullying's, you know, much more all rife on sort of internet. But kids can have a distraction there. Now, like, back in the day when you were going through that trauma, you were just sitting in your room in silence with the thoughts. You had to go out to distract yourself, which turned to you acting like a bit of a lad and getting into a bit of trouble. Whereas now kids can just turn to the phone, switch off and just watch an hour worth of stupid videos. Yeah. And they just forget about it because they've got distractions at arm's reach. Whereas back in your time, talking like you're a dinosaur now, but back in your time, you didn't have them distractions right at, you know, in your hand. Yeah. You had to go and do something, which led you down a different path. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a shout. Yeah, it makes sense, mate. And I mean, even sitting with them thoughts and sitting with them emotions and going through what I've done and, like I say, crying myself to sleep probably for years, mate, you know what I mean? But that, not that this is a good thing, but that has affected me going forward in life, which can be positive and negative when I look at it, because, like I say, it turned me into a lone wolf, mate. And like, I sound like an idiot, like, but I'm a popular lad and I know a lot of people, mate, but I'm always on my own. And I can just chop people, I can just cut people off because of the ability of going behind the door and doing it to my own family. Yeah. So that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, it can take you so far in life. It can be positive in certain ways, but it's also, as much as a blessing as it's a curse, because I'm a stubborn man on the back of it, Kev. You know what I mean? And that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, I can just shut people off, mate.
And you know, it again, I think we touched on it in your the first episode about the amount of trauma that's out there, isn't it? And it's showing in all different ways, isn't it? You know, like you know, the family breakups and things. You know, you've got kids who are suffering. You know what I mean? They're living in the homes and they're suffering at the hands of the parents, and you know, it's the parents are not dealing with their traumas from when they were kids, and possibly their parents. You know, you're in 3-4 generations of it now. So somewhere along the line, the cycle's got to be broke. It's got to be talked about, and it's got to be mainstream, hasn't it? It's like you switch the telly on, it's pointless nonsense. It's over and over again. I don't even watch the television anymore. I watched the telly for 2 years, but the power that telly could have to have, like, you know, showing thing, doing a bit of mindfulness on the telly, or just making sense of it. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
It makes perfect sense, because a lot of people's perception are formed on the information that they're taking in. So whether that be, just for an example, like say the COVID stuff that's happened, or like the Ukraine stuff like that, everyone jumps behind that, don't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they put their efforts into putting things out like what we're speaking about now, then maybe a lot of people would do that, wouldn't they? And, you know, I just know what I needed, mate, and in a nutshell, it was a hug. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
a bit more
love.
than a hug, like, but I needed love, mate, yeah. So I needed someone to put their arm around me and go, do you know what, lad? And give me a little, not a clip, but, put me in my place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I needed discipline, but I needed a hug, mate, and I needed just not to be judged.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The two people that's, massively stood out my story, Kev, we touched on it, didn't we?
Yeah.
And all they done was give me time, mate.
And it's remembered for life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's remembered for life, man.
Do you know, I can always look back when I was a kid and I can remember negative things. I remember when I was an apprentice in the Corby, working with two fellas, and one of them treated me bad, do you know what I mean? But, and it sticks with you. It sticks with you all the time.
Yeah. Have you seen Ian Wright's story?
No.
Remember Ian Wright?
Yeah.
From France. Have you seen his story?
No.
Oh, unbelievable, mate. He had a hard time, proper hard time. And I think he'd been sent out of a lesson in school, and a teacher walked past. I was like, Harry, in come the office. I can't remember exactly what.
Is that the teacher where surprised him in the stadium when he thought he was dead?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's what the background story is. I've seen that clip where he gets dead emotional.
Oh, mate,
but I was like, there's more to the story than just a PE teacher from school. I didn't understand the backstory.
You know, if you can get a little podcast, I can't remember what podcast it was that Ian Wright was on, but if you can get it, watch it, mate. It's unbelievably powerful. And that was just a guy showing that he believed in Ian, you know what I mean, showed him love, and it lived with him forever. Like, that clip's powerful, in it, guys.
It's so, like, underrated, the power of, like, a kind word and a bit of a arm on the shoulder and stuff, definitely. Isn't it? It's like, you know yourself in the past when you can remember times when you said it in your story, but when someone bigs you up, when someone just says they believe in you, or it can stick with you, especially when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Kids are like sponges, aren't they? So if you're going home to a house where there's no love, where you're constantly getting negative, abuse or whatever it is, it doesn't even have to be, it's just small little snippets, isn't it? It's having an effect over time, just having an effect, and then all of a sudden the kids believe in it and believing it and believing it. They're not getting the love and the affection, and all of a sudden that's their reality then, isn't it? Yeah. And what does love cost?
Exactly.
It costs nothing. Do you know what I mean?
People need to just come to an awareness, don't they, of, like, because because I'm everything I've gone through and all the lads I've grew up with, I don't judge them as much as, I still find myself guilty sometimes judging people, and then I have a little word at myself. But we could just have a look and go, well, it's just too easy to call people rats and just dispose of them. Do you know what I mean? And, like, life them off for, like, something daft that they've done. When I say life them off, I don't even mean in prison. I just mean, like, have nothing to do with them. And it's sad, mate, because there's potential in us all, isn't there? You know what I mean?
And when
if
that
I can turn it round, come on.
Exactly. And when that potential is reached in everyone, no matter what your job role is, I don't care if you're a prime minister, if you're a bloody bin man, if you're a cleaner, if you're a painter, if you're a barrister, whatever, we're all living in the same planet, we're all here at the same, if we're all putting our best version forward, being a bit more empathic with each other, the world could be amazing for everyone, couldn't it? But unfortunately, it's going to take a lot of hard work, isn't it, to get that point?
Yeah, it is 100%, mate, yeah.
So anyway, obviously you mentioned about the panic attacks you had, and no anxiety is dead important to you, and I know you say that you because you've dealt with anxiety so much, you've learned so many tools yourself, and you've got a real deep understanding. And I know when you speak to me about anxiety, you blow my mind, and I know a lot of people reach out to you, don't they, with anxiety, and you do help them a bit. So what do you want to touch on over the anxiety?
Just ask us anything that you want about it, mate. You know what I mean? Wherever you want to go with it, mate. It's mad, because I'm 38 now, and I had that crazy panic attack when I was 18. So I feel like, well, I've lived 20 years with it now, haven't I? Yeah. So I've lived more with it than without it. Whatever you want to know about it.
The thing with anxiety, it comes and goes, doesn't it? To be honest, the last week, for some reason, out of the blue, I've been feeling anxious. It's just hit me.
That's natural.
Yeah.
So that anxiety that you've got there, Kev, that's you can't cure anxiety. It's incurable because it's a part of life. Now, anxiety itself is actually the body's natural response to danger. So what was happening with me, I can only ever speak of me because it's complex anxiety and everybody's different. All our brains are different. The treatment of it's different for everyone. But I can only speak what I went through, my experience. So when you're feeling anxious, that's fine. So a job interview, you know, you'd feel anxious. Me going on that wire, I felt anxious. You put yourself out there, you know, maybe a first date, and you feel anxious. That's perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with that. It's when that overspills and starts like becoming debilitating and coming into your life in a way where it's affecting you on a daily basis.
It's when it affects your decision making big time.
That's when it can become a disorder. Now, let's get fucking one thing straight here before I even go into this. I've never been diagnosed with anything. Now, if I went in the doctors, they'd probably slap a load of things on me. You know what I mean? And I've got D in. I've got a load of things with D in me. But I've never been diagnosed with anything. This is just from maybe books I've read and living with what I believe, you know, could be a generalised anxiety disorder, a panic disorder, could have PTSD. I don't know. I've never been diagnosed. But what happened with me, Kev, is the anxiety with me is, here's how I can describe like the panic attack and stuff like that is, say you walk past a garden and like a dog jumps up that you didn't see and you flap it, don't you? You shoot yourself and you run to danger.
And you go warm and everything inside.
Oh, you flap it, don't you? So you bail. But then what happens is that you get halfway up the street and a dog gets like put in the house and a woman will go, oh, sorry about that. And you go, and you've got like a rational reason for why you've done that, haven't you? This was getting set off in my body when there was no sense of danger. So what was happening was I was getting all that bump, you know.
Just out of the blue.
Yeah, the adrenaline set off in me, you know what I mean? Yeah, my sympathetic nervous system getting triggered and what's it called? Adrenaline bump. And then, the blood flowing around the body, fight or flight, bam, and I'm gone. And that was happening to me when there was no dog. You know, if you ever had nearly a car crash. And then you get down the road and you're all right. Because you've got a rational reason, haven't you? You can go, well, that happened because of that. And you forget about it, don't you, 10 minutes later? Now, this was going off in me when there was no danger. It was just through stress or through triggers that was triggering me. But I was living like that solidly for 2 years.
When was this? How old were you then? Was
18.
This? So this was,
From my first panic attack, I had them every day for 2 years, mate. That was what was happening in me. So, hang on. So with anxiety, you start to become obsessed, mate, with your symptoms. So when I hear someone mention anxiety, when I'm absolutely buckled with it, my ears will prick up and I go, and then they just talk about normal anxiety, and it makes me dead angry. Because I think you don't know what anxiety is. You don't know what the disorder side of it is. Do you know what I mean? That was what I was living with, Kev, for 2 years. And like I say, it absolutely battered me, mate. It destroyed me. We can go anywhere with it, mate, what I've done. And, you know, whatever you want to ask about it, ask, mate. I mean, only help people, can't it?
So if anyone's watching this podcast now and, you know, they can relate to what you're saying about them panic attacks and, you know, about that anxiety just coming from nowhere, what advice would you give someone? What advice would I give them? Like I said to you, there's no... I reckon See, I don't believe in tablets or getting tablets for things. I don't. And labels. So I even now, like 20 years later, still sometimes slip up and go, oh, my anxiety. But I try not to say my anxiety. Because you're attaching to it. Yeah, I'm attaching to that, and that doesn't define me. You know what I mean? So I could go on all day about it.
Is there any like coping mechanisms that you've developed over time to sort of suppress the feelings of anxiety, to sort of bring you out of it? So when you're having a spike and you're having a really bad moment, is there anything that you developed that ease that feeling? Gary, I can just literally end it. Like, I can feel that creeping in now, bang, it'll come. And because sometimes, here's a weird thing as well, sometimes when you haven't had one for that long, you forget how to deal with it. You know what I mean? You go, oh, but then because I've had it that long, I can stop it like that. But basically what you have to do is with a specific panic attack is you feel it come on. So what happens is you get triggered, you know what I mean? The adrenaline goes off, you're in that fight or flight, but just breathing
just consciously
breathing's massive,
yeah, it's massive. We're not taught how to breathe, are we?
No.
Slow everything down, breathe through it, and understand that whatever you resist persists. Don't resist it, don't run away, don't just allow it to come at you. So how I conquered panic attacks in the end was, I'd had that many of them. I was like, go ahead, do that. As soon as I felt one coming on, I go ahead, do your worst. I'd front it. It's a bully. Anxiety is a bully and panic attacks are a bully. And I'd front it, and then it'd subside. So that I gain confidence then. So that I feel it come on again, I go ahead, do your worst. And it's easy to say, but when you're having a panic attack, it's like hell on earth. But as you get more confident, you're like, well, that hasn't killed me. In the end, I'd had 1 million of them. And not one had killed me. So I was like, I'm fine after this.
I had one a few years ago, because I ended up taking myself into Verzachely Hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack.
Well, I went the Aussie, didn't I? Convinced I'd had a heart attack.
I felt like you're fainting. I felt like I was fainting. It was by the post office in Muirhead Avenue. And literally thought I was having a heart attack. I got Jill. She had to come out the post office to take me to Verzachely. Actually ran in the A&E. And when they hooked me up, they said, that's all we can put it down to. It was a panic attack.
Yeah, a panic attack. But there's triggers. So what you've got to do with anxiety, you've got to become a busy mate. And it's like a crime scene. So when you have that panic attack, it's like, boom, seal the crime scene off and go back and find, the cause and go back. What was you doing in that leading up to it? Minutes, hours, days, months, what's been going on? Have you skipped meals today? Have you had coffee on an empty stomach? Are you hungover? Are you going through something stressful? You got to go back and spot the triggers, but we can have subconscious triggers. Things can trigger us where in childhood, say you had abusive parents, or your dad was like an abusive dad and he went to work, then went to the alehouse, then come home and kicked off at night. Sometimes when them dark nights kick in, subconsciously you think your dad's
back home, there, yeah.
And there triggers for you. It's mad, it's crazy, Kev, yeah. It's so, I could speak all day about it, mate, but I beat it through standing up to it, because anxiety is a bully, mate.
But then, at the same time, then that's something to work on, is awareness. You're bringing awareness to how you feel, aren't you? And you so many of us are lost in the past, or we're worrying about the future. We don't even realise what's going on in our body. So to bring all that awareness in is a massive point, because then once you bring your awareness in, then you can start to concentrate on your breath, then you can start to actually feel it, can't you? Yeah. Until you bring awareness in, and that's why literally, like, you go out there on the streets and not many people are in the moment, are they, aware? You could literally, like, get up in the morning, go to bed at night, and you can't even remember what you've done through the day, because you're like on autopilot, aren't you? Yeah. So these feelings and thoughts are just coming and going, and you're allowing them to take over you, aren't you, without even bringing awareness to what the thoughts are, whether they're harmful or, or whether they're beneficial. And I suppose that can take over. But like you said, once you become aware, that's a massive, massive first step, isn't it? To start to recognise what you're thinking, how you're feeling. And
understanding that you're not your thoughts. So I think we have, what do we have, 60, 70,000 thoughts a day, whatever it is, but you don't have to attach to them. It took me years to learn that. I was a dog after a bone off every thought.
I used to do my head in. I still do sometimes.
About 50,000 of my thoughts about chippies. I've just been thinking about what I'm ordering. I'm fat lad.
Oh, mate, it's heavy. So, like, I didn't know for years. I thought that was just, you know what I mean? I didn't understand that I could control. I was in control. I never knew it.
See, you're dead similar to me. You've got a dead active mind, and I'm the same. Yeah. And like Gary's just said then, like, I'm the same. I can be having a meeting and I can drift off as I'm speaking, and my mind's just thinking about, like, the most ridiculous things. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but it's a practice, isn't it, Kev? So this is even to do with anxiety, mate. It's like, look, there's a million things that I can talk about anxiety. I could go on all night about it, literally, and even how to get out of it and stuff like that. But one of the other things is, it's, we go to the gym and we get on the bench press, or we throw weights around, and you can't just go to the gym once and get muscle. It doesn't work like that. You've got to keep going back, maybe 3 days a week or whatever it is. But if you keep bladdering it, after a month or two, you're going to develop some muscle, aren't you? And the same is with emotional muscle. So you have to do these things and practice this non-attachment and practice maybe meditation and things like that and mindfulness. You have to practice it every single day. You can't just do it once, go, oh, it doesn't work, that.
Yeah.
Spew it.
And it's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to be in it for the long run, haven't you?
100%.
And none of us are medical professionals in any way, shape or form, but the power of reading and research is unbelievable. You've already mentioned multiple books that you can use to support.
I've read them.
Best thing I ever started doing was reading. Best thing I've ever done. If there's one thing I'd advise anyone to do, is read, is develop yourself, isn't it? It's personal development, finding out about, you know, how your mind works, finding out about what you can do to help your mind, reading about how other people have dealt with the situation. There's so many amazing books out there, isn't there?
Yeah, well, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, that's an unbelievable book. And let's talk about, you know, when we're talking about thoughts, and you don't have to be the thoughts, there's no better book to read than that, to get an understanding of that. That's one of the most powerful.
I read one called Lost Connections.
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Yeah. I read one called Just Eat. Take away all
this. I mean, that's all I done was read books, Gary. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not an expert in anything. You know what I mean? I just read books. I know a bit about a bit, I'm not great at anything.
But I read one called Lost Connections, and I think it's by a fella called Johan Ari or something, right? And it's about...
He's been on Rogan, innit?
Yes, yeah. So he got, like, diagnosed and he got given all kinds of medication, and he went down the path of, it's you know, there's a chemical imbalance in your head and all that, and then he was like, I can't accept this, and he just delved into the world of depression, anxiety, mental health, and he researched it heavily. He travelled the world, he went and spoke to different people, got different testimonials, and it's such an interesting book, like, opened your eyes a lot, like, doesn't it?
He's interesting, mate. I've listened to a few podcasts with him, but the thing, what you've just said there, Gary's like, I can't accept that. That's what I done at 18. So when he told me, I didn't get diagnosed with it. He just said I had a panic attack, and he mentioned anxiety. So I went off to Waterstones then and started to educate myself on anxiety. I believe the most important thing you have to do to overcome anxiety, I could do a step-to-step guide. It might not necessarily be in order, but number one, the first step, fact, is educating yourself on it. Because if you go to a doctor and the doctor says to you, you've had an anxiety attack or you've got anxiety, and then you go and carry that label into the world and identify with it, but you don't know anything about it, you just go on anxiety, go and get an understanding of it. Once you've read up on it and you've got a deeper understanding of what anxiety actually is, you know what you're working with, and you can't overcome it. It breaks my heart, Kev, this, because I deal with pensioners on my window round, and I'm helping them through anxiety, a couple of them, and I've got them on books, and I'm blowing their minds, and I'm teaching them EFT, emotional freedom techniques, a tapping technique. I'm teaching them all things to do with anxiety, and these are pensioners that, like, they've just been told anxiety, and they just believe it, and they don't go and research anything, because do you know what breaks me heart the most about it, Kev? They haven't even got YouTube, they don't read books, and they've got no internet, and they haven't even got a smartphone, and it breaks me. And I'm like, you have got a wealth of knowledge at your fingertips with a smartphone. Go and buy a book for £8 to 15 quid and go and educate yourself. And some people, they just believe face value what the doctor tells them. It's that authoritative figure to trust, and they don't trust anything else. And then they'll identify, I've got anxiety, and just sit with it, and never, like, delve into it, and never know anything about, like, meditation, about EFT, about breath work, about not attaching to your thoughts. And they don't know anything about it, and it kills me, you know, Kev.
It's mad. I mean, meditation and breath work should be the first thing you learnt in school before you're adding letters up or whatever it is. You should be learning about breathing, mindfulness. It's so powerful, and and when you think about, like, the world we live in today, it's no wonder people have got anxiety.
Yeah,
people are working non-stop, working more hours than we've ever worked. With less money, we're getting less money than we've ever had. The price of everything's going up. The food industry is just full of chemicals, which is obviously having a chemical imbalance in your body. The alcohol is on every street corner, in the likes of Liverpool. It's something that does my head in. It's literally every, and these things aren't addressed. And it's like, people are struggling, people are suffering, people have got addictions, people are worried about the future, worried about how they're going to pay a bill, worried about how they're going to put food on the table. How's it come to this?
I know. And even like you're saying there, Kev, like say like the government or whoever or whatever is behind pushing this this illness on us, then, you know, we've got to become accountable, and we've got to take accountability and responsibility for our own lives and educate ourselves. And I always fucking repeat myself on here, reach one, teach one. And that's why everybody that I come into contact with who's suffering with, I hold space for a lot of people, Kev. I always have done all my life, and I'll educate them the best way I know how and pass what I know on to them. And we need to do it. It's got to, no one's coming, are they? No one's coming to save us.
Everything's the only thing that's in our control is us, is what we do, is, you know, is what we're being, what we're learning as a person, what we're putting into the world, what we're, you know, what we're choosing. Our choices are shaping the future, aren't they? So it's up to us to make better choices. Definitely. It's up to us. And like you say, there's so many people around and about now who were doing amazing things, who were doing the mindfulness, who were helping people through like the anxieties and stuff like that. So it is definitely, like you say, we've got to start pointing inwards as well, haven't we? Yeah. Not 100%. Just always about looking outwards. And
I know what I'd love to get on, Kev. I'd love to get like I don't know, I think Phil Steele, a Mind PT, does work with anxiety, or someone like that, you know, someone like an expert or someone who
definitely
psychology. I'd love to get them on for an episode solely on anxiety. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And we can smash it out the park.
Yeah, we've got
so much.
Paul on from Pack Mentality.
Yeah, he's going to be our first guest. Should we have said that, or was it a surprise?
I don't know, was it?
No, I don't know.
Well, he's our first guest, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to that, because when I had my pod, Paul reached out. I was getting him on as a guest. Yeah. And then I just ended up, you know, legging my pod and all that. I had a couple of issues on and all that, so I just stopped doing it. And I was gutted, because he was one of the guests that was...
He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's doing unbelievable work in the city, mate.
I think what I've said before about the way the world's changing, and that Paul is one of the people who's testament to that. He's like he's a fella, he's a lad who's talking like, you know, he's talking so positive. He's really speaking deeply, isn't he, about all that stuff that men have always gone through, and you know, men have hidden, and he's just saying it, and you know, I know for a fact it's resonating with so many men, isn't it?
Well, I'm seeing men, and I won't name names, but I'm seeing men on, like, he's got his course, or he does walks and does this and that, and I'm seeing lads who I know, and every time I see lads that have done his course and he'll put a picture up, I'm like, yes, get in.
Boss, yeah. I love it, yeah.
Because they
that's a real hard man. That's a real man.
Mate, honestly, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, boss.
A real man is someone like yourself who can sit there and say, yeah, I had trauma. I went through trauma when I was a kid, but I'm changed. I've come out the other side. I've learned this. I've learned that. That's what life's about.
When it's coming from the likes of us, the likes of Paul, who are lads who have been lads, you know what I mean? And it's not coming from someone who's hiding behind, pretending to be some psychologist or something, do you know what I mean? But it's coming from a proper lad who's been there and done it. It's powerful, because that's what the kids in the city need. It's got to come from us, mate.
I was just going to say, and all as it is, at the root of it all as that people are doing is, it's for the kids. We can't go on with this society breaking down as it is. We can't just keep brushing it under the carpet and just like throwing Ant and Dec on the telly and pretending everything's all right, but it's not. So it needs to be dealt with. It needs to be faced. We need to look at it in the mirror. We need to face it. And we need to speak to this, because, like you've just said, because of the kids, it's their future that we're building. I keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it again. It's their future that we're building.
The kids are coming up as watching YouTube now, aren't they, guys? You know, aren't they? So it's the terrestrial TV days are over. So the Ant and Dec and that, don't get me wrong, people still watch it and all that, don't they? But then you've got the likes of Paul and the likes of our podcast, and you know, people are, and it's on YouTube, innit? Do you know what I mean? So it's the word is getting out there, and through the power of social media, and if you're going to see it, mate, at some point, like, you know what I mean?
Our generation, the older generation, like, we've got to take it on the chin to learn to prevent the younger generation going through it. Like, that's what it's all about, you know what I mean? We've got to use our life experiences to go, do you know what? Yes, we can improve our mindset. We're not going to change or fix anything that's happened in the past, but we can make decisions now to make their lives a lot better. Do you know what I mean? That's what we've got to do.
1,000,000%. And
the kids are the future, aren't they?
100%.
So, like, if you want your future destroyed, then I said this on the first one, keep sitting down on your ass and doing nothing about it. It's that selfishness of, I'm all right. No, the kids aren't. They're the future. If you want your future destroyed, then keep neglecting it.
Exactly.
Do something about it now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got to be, and it does take digging deep, you know what I mean? And it takes speaking in a language 100%. You've probably never spoke before. It takes, if you have to do a bit of meditation, if you have to do a bit of mindfulness, if you have to start talking about love and respect and things like this, I don't know. It takes it, doesn't it? It's, you know, even like last week, it broke my heart to see everyone at the derby killing each other again. And it's like, this is our city. This is the city that we live in, the city that we share, the city that we go through, the struggles that we go through together. And a game of football has caused so much divide, and it's grown men who are doing it. And it's like, we've been there, done it, and it, you know, we've come out the other side now, and we can see it for what it is, can't we? Yeah. And it's, you know, like I say, I just think it's all just about the kids' future. And, you know, if the kids can learn from us, then speaking like this, then so be it. Hopefully it can work, can't it?
I mean, I haven't done, like, from the age of 15 to, 33 or whatever it was, 32. I haven't done 17 years of crime and drug dealing and being balls deep in crime. Like, I haven't done all that and come out of that and gone through heavy mental health problems to do nothing. I'm having a go in this city, and I'm not asked. I am going to be part of changing the narrative in this city. Yourself, Kev, together, we're going to do it. There's how many of us is in the city?
Yeah.
I am not walking around booted with a litter pick for a laugh. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I might look like a fucking idiot to other people, but I'm not doing it for a laugh. Yeah. I'm doing it to show the kids.
This is the way. This
is how you do it. I know it's only a litter pick, but there is a method in the madness with a litter pick. To get your fucking ego, let's get out and tidy the place where we live. Yeah. Let's do this, let's do that. I haven't gone through all this bullshit in my life to sit back and do nothing. I'm not going to sit back and allow it to happen. And I, as one man, can't change the city, Kev, but I'm going to have a fucking go. Do you know what I mean? With everybody else.
It's teaching respect.
That's what it is, mate.
It is,
leading by example, getting off your fucking ass. Sorry to swear, but it does me head in. I'm picking some litter up. That's the least you can do, innit?
Yeah, or don't drop it in the first place, you know what I mean? It's giving a message out to the kids. We won't put up with this crap.
It's not just litter picking, but I mean, like, they're just little daft thing, not daft, but the wrong word in it, but they're little community projects that I've been involved in that are going to be kicking off again on the 8th of May. Yeah. Anyone get down, a sense of community, look them up on Instagram.
Brilliant group.
Unbelievable. I mean, I haven't gone through all, watch part 1, episode 4, I haven't gone through all that, Kev, to do nothing about nothing, you know what I mean? Yeah. I will change this. I've already changed the world by changing myself.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's all you can change, do you know what I mean? And like you say, it's not just painting the bedroom, or it's not just getting kids clothes or presents or whatever. It's all about the respect. It's all about recognising that we're all one, we're all going through this same life together, and it's about making it as good as we possibly can for each other, do you know what I mean? And not letting, like you say, not letting one kid slip through the net.
I did slip through the net. So, and loads of my mates did slip through the net. And I'm still mates with my mates from when I was younger. And I don't condone what people do, but I'll always love me mates, do you know what I mean? And I'll always be there for them. And even who I reconnect with now, like I say, there'll be phone calls and stuff like that. I don't even speak about what I used to do. I get love and respect, Kev, for changing my life, and I get backed in donations and things like that from lads. And you know, that might sound dead controversial, or lads who've been up to no good or done this or done that, but you know, they're just kids who come up hard, do you know what I mean? And they didn't know a better way, and they're not at that point of awareness where some of them haven't changed their life properly yet, do you know what I mean? But I'll never look down my nose and judge people, mate. I was there once, weren't I?
I think what it is as well, the respect comes because I think deep down everyone's got an inner knowing, which you can't put into words. You've got an intuition and knowing of what is right, what is sort of what's the right way of being, you know, as a community in life or whatever. And I think everybody, when they see someone like yourself doing it, it's that triggers them inside to go, yeah, that's it.
Definitely. And some of the best lads I know have been criminals, and that's that. I don't care how controversial that sounds. They are. They're lovely lads. Yeah, they haven't got it all right. It's a little bit wrong. It's a bit out of balance. But some of the nicest lads I know, they're just lost, mate. You know what I mean? And, you know, what's happening to us from them idiots in charge, what they're doing to us, like, look, on 2 wrongs don't make a right, but on a scale of like, of horribleness, you know, we're not pointing our fingers at them, but we're like that in the community to people who were doing whatever they're doing, and we're ignoring what, you know, genocide or whatever on a mass scale. I know, I'm not even going to go into it, but it's mad, innit?
It is.
It's mad, mate.
There's so much gets brushed under the carpet and not addressed whatsoever, and then it's like you're not dealing with the root at all, are you? You're just literally chopping off the top of the weeds, and then we're wondering why the weeds keep getting bigger and bigger, isn't it?
Exactly, mate. Yeah.
But anyway, you know, touching on obviously your story, we went into a dark place with your story and stuff like that, but the light side of it all is like the lad who you turned out to be, mate. And like, I was actually going through our old posts today, and it was literally, I'd set up the hour for others' social media. Within the first couple of weeks, you popped up, helped me. I think I'd asked for a van, needed help with tables, getting tables to this community centre, and you helped me. And from that time when Poppy that was when the wake-up moment called, wasn't it? Where Poppy had said that she seen police in the garden, but she hadn't. And that was your, like, sort of moment. So what was the overriding feeling there? What was the thing that was behind it?
Well, when An Hour for Others kicked off, Kev, it was the idea 2013.
2013, yeah.
And then I helped you in 14, I think. Like I say, the paint and the
got
chairs.
going in 2014.
Yeah, so I'd already helped before. I'd completely changed my life.
Yeah.
So there was that, like I say, the journey started 2012, 2013 when I started changing. But I don't know where that's come from, Kev, but I do believe that people who've suffered in this life or people who've gone through hell, not saying you're not a nice person if you haven't, but I always find that most of the people with the biggest heart or the more empathy have gone through hell.
Yeah.
And I'd just been through hell, mate, and seen what you were doing, and I believed in it, mate, you know what I mean? And obviously we were posting similar things. Well, we always feel like we repeat ourselves, don't we? But
my memory's that bad, I'll forget what I said.
yeah, but no, it just resonated, mate, and I had this desire to help others, mate, and I don't know where it come from. It started with the homeless, didn't it, with me?
Yeah.
But I was helping you before I'd done the homeless, weren't I? So I don't know where it come from, Kev. I just think it's part of a bigger plan, mate.
It is. It's hard to explain, isn't it?
I believe that's what I'm here to do.
As well as, you know, it's the feeling behind it, isn't it? The helping other people is actually helping you. You know that it's having a positive effect, and you know the kids are watching it and everything, and the kids are picking up on things, and it's so powerful. Like, so obviously that moment with Poppy and that, and you know, I know you was still a little bit of a, you know, there was a little bit of a to and a throwing going on. What were the steps? What was the mindset that you developed then? Where did it come from? What, I know you'd done a lot of reading, but obviously it was still your, like you've just said about the accountability part. What was it that you took on then to just keep moving forward and not look back type thing?
Well, the moment with Poppy that happened in 2015 that ended the life of crime. Again, the fear, we spoke, didn't we, before this, about the fear of going into the unknown and stuff like that, and or was it during this? My head's fucking gone. We spoke about fear, didn't we, and coming out your comfort zone and stuff like that. Now I've had to end the set. You could probably say I was a career criminal or whatever, you know, I've done it for 17 years. So then for me to go away from that was quite daunting, if I'm being honest, because when you're involved in that life,
you couldn't see a way out. You couldn't see.
The scary thing is, Kev, it's not, if to someone from like a straight world, right, it might be all mad. Like, people would be fascinated when I tell them about my life, you know, people who I could trust, and they'd be blown away. But that was just normal to me, just normal life, and people were there fascinated. So, you know, why you've got this normal world cracking on and people have got a 9-to-5 job, you have like an underworld, don't you? People that are up to no good, and I was balls deep in that. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it was daunting to think that I had to go. I'd never done the other way. I'd never done the straight way, you know what I mean? I'd always been a criminal, and I didn't even know, like, what am I going to do? So when you're involved in that life, you know, whether you've got a few quid or you're skint, when you used to do what I'd done, you had money around you all the time, whether it be Peter's or Paul's, you were juggling, and you'd always had money around you. You know, you could spend that, and, you know, you might be in debt or whatever, but you always had money around you. So me going forward, mate, I mean, even I remember the first couple of weekends after I stopped doing what I was doing, I was working legit. and I weren't smashing it or not, and I only had a few customers, and I used to get to like Friday or something, and I'd have no money, and I'd be like, no way. And normally a phone would just ring, bang, money straight away, all day, you know what I mean? Whether that's mine or not, there was always money there. And I remember like doing a weekend thinking, I'm fucking skint. I'm not going, I've got the kids tomorrow, you know what I mean? Sunday, and then I'm back in work Monday. So I had to work like 6 days then, do you know what I mean? Monday to Saturday, just to make sure. And sometimes even on Saturday, I'd be fucking skint. And it was so hard. It was so hard to like, to go into that legal and you know, that to fly straight, basically. It was so hard to do, and it was just like, fucking hell, I'm so used to having money around me. It was just dead hard, but there was just this, it had gone on that long, Kevin. I was sick of doing what I was doing, and obviously that with Poppy, I was just so determined to never go back. I was just had this fire in my belly, and I knew I had to go. I just knew I had to go through the pain, and I knew I had to go through that fear, and I knew I was in a transition period, mate. And I mean, even going forward from that, 2015, 7 years now it's been, you know, soon to be 8 years. I'm on my arse, mate. You know what I mean? I just earn, I've got 2 kids, Shannon's got 2 kids, and, you know, I don't earn a great deal of money. I just get by. So for me to know that I've really, truly changed, the carrot gets dangled in front of me all the time. You know what I mean? I'm fucking skint. And I know what to do. I can just go, plan B, I could go and change, I could go back anytime, Kevin. I never have and I never will. And that's how I know I've changed.
Yeah.
Because I've had times when I've been on the floor, and I'm not exactly boosted now, but I'll never go back, mate, you know what I mean? So
I bet you feel rich inside, though, with what you're doing. That's mate. What I always say. Richness to me is like, I think we've always thought about money when we speak about being rich, but to me, being rich is a feeling I get from doing what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? You could give me £100,000 a year job, big car, big house. If I was in a job that I didn't want to do, I wouldn't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've got to be aligned, do you know what I mean?
It's that old cliche, innit? That health is wealth and all that, like it's your mental health, your physical health. You get people, as you say, in £100,000 a year jobs and all that, who are the most miserable people in the world. But Tyson Fury done it a while back. He was talking about it. He said, you know, you can have all the money in the world. He went, and people who are rich, another £100,000 to them is nothing. So it's not life changing. So they're always chasing. He said, you give a poor man £100,000, it changes his whole view on life, and he's sorted. Then he'll box his whole family, and he's satisfied for the rest of his life. He said, so when you get chasing that money, he said it's a dangerous game to play because you're never satisfied, you're never fulfilled.
What's the next high, isn't it? You know
exactly.
I mean?
It's again, no, I suppose it comes down to the chasing money. You're not being present in the moment, are you? You're not enjoying the little moments. You know, there's like so many little moments that happen in the day that you are priceless, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? It's like, even when we done the zip wire on Saturday, our little Freya and Nuala come in, and like, just to hug our Nuala, and for her to come running and like give me a big hug, and like, it's priceless moments like that. Are like, but if you're lost in this world of trying to chase something, and you'll never be happy, will you? You'll never be happy with what you've actually got, what you're part of in that present moment.
Sorry to jump back in about priceless moments, like hugging the grandkids or whatever. It's like, my bird was talking to me about this the other day. Like, you never actually realise when the last of something happens. So like, can you ever remember like the last time one of the babies got in your bed? Like, you'd never, you don't sit there and go, this is the last time they're ever going to get in the bed tonight. It just happens and it goes. Yeah. So if you're not present and you're chasing these other dreams, you're going to lose out and miss out on all these things. Like, I took my 2 boys last Friday, picked them up from school to get their hair cut, right? One's 8, one's 5. Got to the road and I was like, right, all my boys, and they both were like, they're older than your granddad. They're too old. And I was like, I felt like someone had stabbed me in the chest. I was like, fucking old man, now you're mine. You know what I mean? I look like a proper fucking pedo on YouTube, forcing kids to hold me hand. And I was like, heartbreaking.
I was the same when, you know, like, our Liam was like, from the, as soon as he could walk, he just wanted to play footy. He was just football mad. So I love having a kick around, you know what I mean? But our Liam was intense with his kick around. It'd be like every single night, be going up to Thomas Lane or something, playing footy. I didn't mind, but obviously some nights, you know, like, you'd be there and you'd be going, oh God, I wish you'd say, Liam, do you want to go home now? No, let's just stay for another like 10 goals or something. And like you think back at the time when you'd be like wound up because you wanted to get off.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like Gary's just said, then one day came when it'd say to Marlene, should we go for the kick around? You messing at you? And that was the same. It was like, where have them days gone? Like, and then, you know, it's...
I'm having it with our poppy now. She's like, the kids seem, like our poppy's 8, but they seem to be older now, don't they?
Yeah.
But, the phones don't help, do they? The phones and the iPads don't help with being,
They're all fucking hermits now, lad. They just live in the bedroom and everything.
You don't even hear kids playing out anymore, do you? When we were kids, it was just like, all you there was kids, wasn't it, in the streets, and now it's quite sad.
It's mad because, like, with today's society and stuff, I was always scared to let my kids out because I couldn't trust it. But over the last, like, 6 months, like, we live in a little close, so it's not as busy. But I've just said, like, me and my bird have just gone, you know what? We need to give the kids some, independence, let them play out. So our kids will go in the streets, even Lennon, who's 5, because he's with Archie and Lila, who are 12 and 8, and they'll just play on the scooters on the path and stuff. And no one else's kids play in the streets. Like, the neighbours look are like, why are you letting your kids out? And I'm like, you've got to, like, I know it's changed, but, like, you can't just hold them in all the time.
Don't you think, though, Gary, there's a fine line between, like, protecting them right and destroying them? Because if you're too overprotective, and then, they're wrapped in bubble wrap and they've got no life experience and they've never learned anything, and, I just think...
I'm experiencing it now.
You've got to let, as daunting as it is, you've got to let them go and fall off a bike.
Yeah.
You've got to fall off a bike. When I was a kid, mate, I reckon I've been, by the age of 12, on every roof in Seaforth. Every roof, mate.
Don't recommend this at all.
We were the same in Liverpool Uni, because I grew up by town. We used to go and get chased by the uni security guard and climb all the roofs and everything.
Honest to God, I was everywhere. We were zonies, you know what I mean? Scratches, we were everywhere all over the city. Joey Diaz nails it, doesn't he? And Joey Diaz says, when we were kids, we went out to die. We didn't go out to play.
You just
used to die.
But you'd literally get home from school, wouldn't you? And that'd be it. You'd just throw your bag in. And you'd be out until it used to be literally, didn't it? Until it went dark. But if you had, once the street lights started to come on and it went dark, it was sort of a little bit of a signal to get off.
If you had like a computer, it was probably a Super Nintendo or a Mega Drive when I was a kid.
SNES.
A SNES or a Mega Drive. If you had them right, but like 6 of your mates were bouncing a Casey on your Mars step and said game of footy, that computer was getting legged, weren't it?
Yeah.
I weren't playing.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, I was out, mate.
Yeah.
Football everywhere. Like I say, we used to go on missions, climbing everywhere, Kev. Yeah. I reckon I've done every roof, every boozer, every school, every community centre, everything, church, just a lot. Every roof I've done in C4 when I was a kid.
But that point you made then about, are we having an impact on it? And we are, and we're going through it now, me and my missus, because we refused to let our kids out. We were like, you're staying in, like, blah, blah, blah. And our daughter now, she's 12, and we were having a conversation the other day because she, like, wants a bit more independence. She's like, well, my mate Holly wants me to go and meet her down by the shop, and she lives down on Green Lane, and Muirhead and stuff's a horrible road to cross, where, like, you're not mature enough, I can't trust you to go out, and she's not. And, like, I see other 12-year-olds who are miles ahead of her, and I know everyone develops at different rates, but I was like, are we the blame here because we've suppressed you for so long because we were scared to let you go out, that now we've hindered your development? And because I was saying to her, because I was kind of putting the blame at her in a way. I was like, Lila, when I was 12, I said, my mum and stepdad were doing evening jobs, I was getting home from school, I was cooking my own tea, I was putting a wash on, I was like, you don't do any of that. And then I was like, but do a letter. Like, do a mollycoddler too much where I'm preventing her from getting that independence from development.
How will you learn without
exactly.
failing?
Exactly.
You only learn through failing, don't you? So, if you fall off your bike, you've learned something, haven't you? You might hurt yourself, but you've learned. But if you're bubble wrapping them, how can the kids learn? Do you understand what I'm saying?
100%.
There's a fine line
100%.
between...
But how's that happens? How's it got to this stage? There's some sort of programming going on, isn't there, in this system?
Yeah, can you remember a shift? Because I can't. It was all the kids were just doing whatever, to now doing nothing.
What's
just
what's
become
the age?
comfortable.
What's millennials? What are they, 83 or 84? What is it?
Oh, so is millennials when you like born after 2000?
I thought it was 2000.
I'm sure it's 80s, the class, is it? I'm sure it's... I feel... I don't know whether it was...
2000 was the millennium, wasn't it? So that's why I thought they were millennials.
I'm sure it's 83 or something, I'm almost certain that we were the last generation that escaped the like the technology. Like we had computers, but we didn't have like the mobile phones. I'm sure they kicked in when I was about 15 or something. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like we were that last generation that like escaped that. So we've got a reference point. This is what scares me about the kids now is we know what it was like without it. But now every kid now coming up just knows what that is. Head in the iPad.
But I'm younger than you. Like I was born in 91. But like growing up, I had like fucking dial-up internet. Where like your ma's like, oh, get off the computer and try to phone your nan and all that. Like it was the norm not to have the internet. Now if our modem goes off, it's like fucking Jumanji upstairs. The footsteps coming down that stairs, and the kids are like, what's going on? It's mad. Like there's a lad in our work, right? Who his son was being a bit of a tit, right? He was like, sound, I'm fucking blocking him off the Wi-Fi. So we blocked him off the Wi-Fi, and his son got a 50-meter Ethernet cable from college and hardwired the modem up to his bedroom. He went out of his way to get a 50-meter Ethernet cable.
That's an addiction, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got us.
But where's it going now? Where does it end? Where does it like? Where does this stop?
Transhumanism. Let's go in. I
was waiting for that.
I'm tired to go in on it. No,
Episode 7.
I'll tell you what, it's close to it now, though, isn't it?
It's
literally close to it now.
Disconnected.
I'm literally my thingy's up on my phone, my contact soon. And I want to downgrade. I don't know why I want to get one of them Nokias that used to be able to lash against the wall.
Yeah.
The workies phone with the rubber edge and the light on it. That's what he's getting.
Yeah, that's what I want. I'll be number 1 in the world on Snake. It's just be me and my alpha. My alpha has got one, so we might be number 2.
Nokia 3210s everywhere.
People are going, like a lot of people, I don't know if it's because we're like involved in stuff like this, but a lot of people seem to want to be going back to basics now, don't they?
Yeah.
And they're getting out in nature and stuff
I think
like that.
Yeah.
It's because the rate of growth through like fucking electronics and whatever else, right? It was like, as you said, you remember phones being little shithead phones, and then the first iPhone came out and it was like crazy. And then in a 10-year period, you've gone from like having this phone that you could like watch a video on to like fucking you can fly drones and fucking shoot weapons at people. It's just gone crazy.
Have you seen them VR headsets?
It's gone crazy.
Have you ever seen them, Kev?
Which the virtual reality?
Seen the one with Ronnie O'Sullivan where he goes to lean on the snooker table and falls over and puts the floor. He puts the virtual reality on and he goes to lean on the table and just hits the desk. Yeah.
Alright, I went to my mate probably last month it was, and I hate all that, you know what I mean? Because I know it's coming in for the kids. And he went, listen, you need to put it on. And I was shitting myself, and I put it on, Kev. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Really, yeah.
Oh, it's another level. But that's the metaverse, innit? That's where they want to take it, innit? Do you know what I mean?
It's come a long way since Chucky Egg I used to have.
They want you to be sat in your living room, mate. This is the plan, is that they want you sat in your living room with a headset on, socialising with other people in the metaverse. It's frightening me.
It's mad because social media was invented to make people more social, but it's made everyone more antisocial.
Yeah. But the next meta is Facebook, isn't it? And Insta, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the metaverse is, you know, when you've got that headset on, so where you had a 2D platform and you're scrolling down and liking stuff, now you're in a bar in the metaverse with them. That will be the new thing.
Do you know what's going to happen, right? Do you know what's going to happen? All these people are going to be headsets on in the living room, thinking they're in like fucking garlands, and some little tea leaf's just going to be in your living room, lifting your telly in front of you, and you haven't got a clue. It's going to happen. Yeah. Back doors swung open, your cooker's on the back of a BMX halfway down Lodge Lane or something. You haven't got a clue. You're like that in the bar. Taking off, no telly or nothing.
Is this where we're going? This is mad, isn't it?
It's frightening,
It's
It's
crazy.
frightening, yeah.
Crazy Wales. Shall we wrap for this week?
Mate, yeah.
We went off on a tangent there, didn't we?
Yeah.
We love a rabbit hole, don't we?
Yeah, I'd already told my story, hadn't I? It was just little things that we wanted to... but I don't want to sit here, like I said to you before, mate. I don't want to sit here and like... oh, look at me, I've done this, I've done that. I'm not comfortable saying all the good things.
He's a liar. He tells us off camera all the time.
I'll fill you in when we stop. But
nice haircut as well, Todd. I like it. Well,
nice one, mate.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call my new baby Toddy.
Right, so episode 6 is a wrap. Thank you very much, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Gary. Nice one, Kev.